You know, as I sit here in the beautiful Cap F Sports studios, there's a picture in here that I have that I'll put on the internet in relation to this story, and it's a picture of Peter McNeeley fighting Mike Tyson. If you're unfamiliar with Peter McNeeley, he fought Mike Tyson directly after Mike Tyson got out of prison, and it didn't go very well. As a matter of fact, let me go grab the picture because I'll tell you something about it. Hold on. Okay, so you say you met this giant of boxing, right? But so how does a guy like you end up meeting boxing great Peter McNeeley? Well, the answer to that question is that I have a very good childhood friend. And he's not a childhood friend. He's been my friend my whole life. I call him my brother. He has family in Boston, and we went to go visit them. And he had lived out there for a while, so we had a few buddies from that area. And so obviously it's like Thanksgiving weekend. Everybody's home to wherever they're from. We're out there. It was pretty cool, and it was cool that he knew somebody. So we hooked up with his buddy, and we went to this bar in Dedham, Massachusetts that was like, it was sort of like the restaurant from Goodfellas, except it was in Boston, and they served Chinese food. So it was a Chinese restaurant. And we're eating mushu pork and delicious food and drinking and carrying on. We're having a really good time. And a guy comes in, this like relatively large gentleman in a tracksuit. And I recognized him. I was like, I think that guy's a boxer. Well, the guy we were with is his cousin in some respect. Everybody knows everybody. If you're from somewhere like that, you know how that goes. And he says, no, that's Peter McNeeley. You know, he fought Mike Tyson right after Mike Tyson got out of prison. You want to meet him? And I said, of course. You know, and I walked up and I did that hacky shit where you meet an ex-boxer and you go, what's up, champ? And I did that dumb shit. It was I felt a little clownish. And when he shook my hand too, it was like, if you've ever held a baby's hand in your hand, like how that feels in your palm, like a baby's hand, like attached to a baby, not like you found a baby's hand. His hands dwarfed mine. He's a large guy. His fist is massive. I have a picture too of us holding our fists up next to each other. I'll post that also. And but so anyway, so he introduces me. We have a good time. We're drinking. We're talking. He's telling me about boxing. Listen, the man was not shy about telling me about boxing. I was asking him like relatively personal questions about how he feels about spending all his time boxing. He had some legal troubles. He was telling me about those things. And he was just a really nice dude, you know, and he had a little crew of guys around him. And he was a real good dude. We had a great time that night. We got very intoxicated on alcohol, or, you know, the people I was with. I can't speak for Peter McNeeley. But so I wanted him to sign something for me. The night had wound down, and I wanted him to sign something for me. And I gave him like a napkin, and he was like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like he like mushed it into my chest, which almost knocked me down, obviously. But so he was like, get the fuck out of here. And we go outside. He goes, come on. We go outside. And he has a Mercedes that is like a model year where probably he got it for free, maybe for doing a commercial. Maybe he really liked that year of Mercedes and he bought it for nostalgic reasons. But it was an older Mercedes. I believe it was a diesel with the big trunk. And in his trunk, he had a shoebox. He had many things in his trunk, but he had a shoebox also that he opened up, and in the shoebox were like Xerox copied color copies of this picture of him fighting Mike Tyson that I have sitting in my office right now. I'll post it, but you know, Mike Tyson is down to the left, you know, on the left side of the picture. Peter McNeeley's creeping in. When he handed me the picture, I remember him saying, it looks like I'm going to bite his fucking ear off. And like, it does kind of look like that in the picture. And so he signed it, and it says, Hurricane Peter McNeeley, 47-7 with 36 knockouts. That's a hellified professional record, too. For the record, for people, many people scoff at this story of me meeting this boxer, but if you look at that record, 47-7 with 37 knockouts, anyone talking shit about that is not knocked out 36 people in a professional boxing match, I can assure you, and would not be capable of doing so. If you are someone who fits that category, feel free to comment on one of our various social media mediums. But anyway, so he did write his record on the picture, and I think that's fantastic because obviously he knew I was going to talk about this meeting because it was super cool, and he was a really nice guy, and he signed the other side of it at an odd angle where it says, "To my good friend Graham." Just in case you were wondering how close I am with Peter McNeeley, it says, "To my good friend Graham, God bless and keep punching." God bless and keep punching. I'm not going to lie to you. This picture, like, while admittedly it's an insane way to come across a ex-professional boxer. Being at a bar in Dedham, Massachusetts, and a bar that stayed open, I think, till like 6 a.m, drinking and eating delicious Chinese food. The picture is inspirational. It says keep punching, and that's a very real thing. And I felt like Peter McNeeley was still punching then. He was still, living his life. He hadn't given up just because he couldn't box anymore and he had legal trouble or whatever. It was relatively inspirational, right up to the point where one of his buddies came outside and was like, "What the fuck are you doing out here?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm talking to this guy." This guy. He came out. He looked. He was tall and skinny. He had like blonde hair that was kind of like greased and slicked back, turtleneck, sweater, chain on the outside, as is the fashion in Boston, black leather jacket, unzipped, eyes ticked all the way out, like, "You don't even know this guy." And I was like, oh, maybe this meeting Peter McNeeley thing has gone too far. And Peter McNeeley stood up for me. He said he's a good kid. He was poking his finger in this guy's chest. "He's a good kid. He saw me come in this bar and he knew." He said, "That's Peter McNeeley, and I'm going to go talk to him. And he's a good kid. He's got a lot going for himself." He was poking this guy in the chest, defending me. The guy even relented, like, "Oh, okay, blah, blah, blah." He said he's from Chicago, but that's okay. He was poking him in his chest, and it was, that made me feel good too. It was a really interesting night. And at the end of all of that, Peter McNeeley gave me this picture of him fighting Mike Tyson that he signed. Hurricane Peter McNeeley, 47-7, 36 KOs. "To my good friend Graham, God bless and keep punching." Peter McNeeley, an American hero, is certainly the hero of this story.